Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of Peters Township Council to order for Monday, October 13th, 2025. Mr. Lauer, can you call the roll, please?
Dr. Paraska will not be here tonight. Ms. Shanafelt?
I'm here.
Mr. Kurd?
Here.
Mr. Steigel?
Here.
Mr. Kozer?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
I've not heard from Mr. Ross.
Okay, all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on this evening's agenda is going to be a public hearing concerning an ordinance to amend the 2025 Peters Township budget. We're going to start out with a presentation from the administration, and then it'll be open up to questions from council and the audience. We'll close the hearing, and then during the regular agenda, we'll act on that ordinance. So turn it over to you, Paul.
Sure. Each year, Peters Township Council is asked to consider amending the budget to accommodate unanticipated changes. These fall into three categories. The first are charges to salaries and wages within a department's program. This year, for example, within the fire department, a firefighter's wages based upon the work performed are assigned within the budget to the following programs: fire prevention, code enforcement, and fire vehicle maintenance. And while the total salaries for these employees are not exceeded, the line item budgets are and therefore need to be adjusted. The second category are projects related to unanticipated expenses. In both the Public Works Department and in the Fire Department, we had significant engine repairs that needed to be done to vehicles. Under network administration, we discovered, unbeknownst to us, when they went to do an update of software, that the hardware that it was being installed in was no longer being supported, and it had to be replaced, and that had not been budgeted. Then in addition, we did two community-wide mailings this year, one related to the comprehensive plan, one related to the emergency notification system, and those were paid for out of the cable television fund, and they were not budgeted. And then also not budgeted was an investigative tool. It's a software used for being able to open cell phones. That piece of software was not budgeted for. The final category are projects which simply exceed the budget, and in the case of the fire and liability insurance this year, it came in over that which was budgeted for by $15,000. So collectively, these changes aren't significant in terms of the overall budget, and it's going to be my recommendation that council amend the budget accordingly.
Does anybody from council have any questions, comments?
I do not.
Nope.
Nope.
Anybody in the audience? Entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second to close. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. And thank you. All right, so we'll move into the rest of the agenda. First up will be approval of the minutes. So somebody like to make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Is that going to be for all three, or August 25th alone? Or?
Hadn't thought about it. Yes. I should have let you finish.
Okay, yeah, August 25th, 2025, transcript from the public hearing for that date. Is that your motion?
And September 8th.
And the September 8th and the 22nd.
Okay, all
Let's
right.
just do all three
three.
of them.
All three of them. All right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries 5-0. Special reports, don't see any, so we'll move into audience comments. This is an opportunity for a member of the audience to address council on a non-agenda item for up to 5 minutes. Tony? Or-
Should we do this now, Paul? or-
Yeah, that'd be the right time.
Hang on, Tony.
Somebody behind you though first.
My name is Maureen Jones. I live at 849 East McMurray. This past year, due to the development on the Peters and Bethel Park line where they wiped out all that acreage, wooded acreage back there. Our area has been inundated with deer. I understand that there probably isn't a whole lot you could do about curtailing that, but at this point, is there any way we could get signs posted on East McMurray somewhere between Country Brook and Big G's Tire area, that it's a deer crossing area for these people to slow down and give them at least warning, because 3 or 4 times a day we have anywhere from 3 to 8 deer moving across that road periodically.
It's funny you mentioned that. I drove through there last night around 11 o'clock at night at 4 different places. I had them come out in front of me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
We haven't had signage on the state road?
We can put that type of signage up. I don't think that would be
We
a
should
problem.
just bring Rob Kemp back with that ramming thing on his car.
We can do that.
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thanks. Tony?
Y'all should have a handout.
Well, they're going to have it now, and here's a copy for you.
Thank you.
Is that signage gonna be permanent on the last thing? Or would that just be until that gets developed?
Well, we can leave it up as long as it's needed, but there's no reason it can't be
Okay.
removed.
Not that I care, I just wanted to
I
know.
doubt the deer are gonna stop crossing once the development's done.
Well, we could start shooting them up there, right? Is that Bethel? Is that Bethel?
That's in Bethel, but there's areas there where hunting would be
That's
possible.
good.
So thankful for this. So many people in this room worked on this to varying degrees. I can't tell you how much the neighborhood appreciates. It shows the power of this township that you all have built. It is a desired place to be. And even though from a legal perspective, technically we couldn't do things, but from a commercial perspective, a capitalistic society perspective, it's amazing what can happen when you ask for things. I think Melissa Cook from Diamond put in an email, we'll agree to any conditions. That's how much we are desired. So I'm just hoping we take that to heart and start pushing back a little bit and use the power we have. Paul, I'm not real sure, but Mr. Arcuri, a couple months ago, you picked up that they did not have the contact person.
Is it in there now? That's what I was
Yes.
looking for. Okay.
And I'm trying to find it. 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to find a way that we're going to really get that and put teeth to it. And my suggestion is, I hope that we can follow up on this, is that we have our contact person. That way they balance each other and it's real. I was shocked that that last time a few months ago, we had like 50 of them in here. I talk about a wire spool running down the hill. Could have been my grandkid. It was the Rebish's car. I was shocked that the Rebishes have written notes about damage and trees and so forth. And Mr. Proctor was here from AT&T and said he was concerned, and rightly so, that they're investing $250,000 on this upgrade, which coincidentally matches what realtors have told us that we've each lost in value on our homes since these projects went in. So I was shocked that after that meeting, no one contacted the Rebishes. I would have thought that if they were good partners that cared, that wanted to participate in our economy here and in our community, somebody should have been grabbing us. Definitely from their side, but should have said, tell me more. I never heard about it, even though everybody at Diamond had heard about it. So this is why I think we need to have somebody here that will, and I don't know what the process should be, if that's something Mr. Gromick could set up, but if there's an issue, I want somebody from my township and whoever their designee is, and hopefully we'll get that data, aware of it and they keep each other in check. So again, thank you for this, but let's put teeth to it and make sure it's actually implemented. Thank you all.
Paul, have they given you a name?
Well, not yet, and the reason being, this work now is not scheduled to be done this year. It's scheduled to be done January and February of next year, so as we get closer to when they're actually gonna be doing the work, they're gonna designate an individual, so.
Who is our point person going to be?
Well, it's either gonna be, Mark, or it's gonna be myself. That Mark down at the other end of the table. So,
I think it should be you, Paul. No offense to Mark, but
well, that's where the calls,
you're here more than Mark.
that's where the calls all
He's
end up.
always slacking off.
So do you think we can set up an official process where like you get it, Melissa gets it, and you guys keep each other in check?
Oh, I don't think that's a problem. I don't
But
think
it
it's a
was
problem.
last time, that's why I'm asking for it. There are tons of unanswered things. I'm just glad we got to this point.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony.
No, thank you guys.
Any other member of the audience who would like to address council? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into the next topic, which will be a consent agenda.
Unfinished business.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have an item under unfinished business. Be an authorization of an easement across township-owned property for Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania.
He asked for an explanation.
So, this was before council previously. There were concerns raised with regard to the easement. In particular, would it be limited to one line? What would be distributed through it? And could the easement be assigned? The language of the easement has been changed so that it calls out that it's a single pipeline and that the gas to be transported through it would be from a utility regulated by the Pennsylvania Public Utility Code. So it's simply gonna be a distribution line. This would eliminate the possibility of having lines for associated with gas drilling or with transmission of natural gas. You know, it still can be assigned, but can only be assigned to someone who's going to utilize that single pipeline, and it has to be a public utility, that it has to be a company that's regulated as a public utility.
All right, well, that assuages my concern, so I'll make a motion that we authorize the appropriate township officials to execute an easement for the benefit of Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania.
Second.
I have a question. Where does it say in here that it can only be assigned to?
I think at the very end, well, because it does say that it's a single pipeline, and it has to be, the pipeline has to be owned by a public
Oh, I'm
utility,
sorry,
so.
I'm looking at the highlighted language in the easement, that's not the same, right?
Oh, no, that is the
Oh, it
language.
does single payment per, cases for transporting gas with associated items, something to be reported through pipelines by a public utility as defined by the Pennsylvania. You're saying that means what?
I don't think there's a, like, actual prohibition against an assignment, it's just limited to those parameters.
Right, so if they assign it to another public utility, so be it, but no one can use it to transport harvested oil or gas or anything through it. So if
And-
Columbia Gas were to go out of business or get bought out by somebody else,
Okay.
they could still use it.
Yes.
All right,
For distribution only.
Right.
That's-
okey-doke, thank you.
Any other discussion items on this? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0. And now we'll move into the consent agenda for this evening, which will contain 5 items. These 5 items can be approved in one action rather than filing motions on each of them separately. The purpose of the consent agenda is to move routine items along quickly so the council can focus more on issues that are more important and require further discussion. So this evening, the 5 items on the consent agenda are going to include a resolution authorizing the distribution of municipal pension funds, statement of the minimum municipal obligation associated with the employee pensions. Third item will be appointment of a student representative to the Peters Township Environmental Quality Board. Fourth item is a resolution supporting the Peters Township Sanitary Authority application for a local share account grant application. And the fifth item will be a request from Mr. Woodrow Welch for a 60-day time extension for consideration of the Juniper Woods Lot 200 subdivision plan. Are there any items that any member of council would like to remove from the consent agenda?
No,
No.
sir.
Okay, does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion from council or the audience? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda carries 5-0. Next item will be adoption of a ordinance amending the 2025 Peters Township budget that we just discussed in the public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance amending the 2025 Peters Township budget in those parameters that were discussed previously tonight.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion?
That's ordinance number 916.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 5-0. Next, we'll entertain a request for departure from regulations contained in the Peters Township Code of Ordinances, Chapter 241, Peters Township Traffic Impact Fee Ordinance.
Mr. Lauer, before you start on this, what's the status of this plan?
Well, as of right now, consideration by the planning commission had been tabled. The concern was over the stormwater management plan, and that is currently under review by the township's engineer. You know, one of the concerns I have for the plan is, and you have the owners here represented, is that their sales agreement requires that the property be closed on by the 28th of the month.
Of this month?
Everyone that I talk to, whether it's council, planning commission, or otherwise, everybody sees this as an asset for the town center. One of the things that is a possibility, but it would only be at the agreement of the planning commission. You know, the planning commission is set up in such a way that they always have 2 meetings a month that are provided for. They seldom use that second meeting. If in fact the stormwater management plan could be reviewed and by this Thursday, there would be a possibility of the planning commission meeting the following week and
there-
reviewing the plan. Having talked to the traffic engineer and having talked to Mark, it's really the only issue that's outstanding right now.
So the next regular meeting of the planning commission is not till November 13th?
November.
13th.
Yeah, so.
And they have to close by the 28th of October.
28th of October. So, you know, one of my questions to council is, can I ask the planning commission in the name of council to have that meeting?
Yes.
I don't see why not.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So we'll do that. Now, having said that, the information with regard to the calculations of stormwater management have only been, I think they've been delivered today. I'm not sure of that. Gateway Engineers does need time to be able to review those. And just because they've been submitted isn't a guarantee that they're correct, but we're all gonna work towards being able to resolve that issue in a timely fashion, so.
All right, so I mean, that part of it's out of our hands. That's gonna be up to the planning commission.
But what is in front of you tonight is a request with regard to the traffic impact fee. You know, the traffic impact fee ordinance doesn't distinguish between indoor and outdoor seating, and this is the only restaurant in Peters Township to incorporate outdoor seating into its site plan. The ordinance requires an impact fee of $1,900 per peak hour trip to be paid to the township for future traffic improvements based upon the square feet devoted to seating. And when this is calculated as the ordinance provides, the fee comes out to be $60,800. You know, in looking at this, we're of the opinion that the fact of the matter is that outdoor seating is not going to be used all year long. That at most, it's probably a 6-month period where that outdoor seating is actually gonna be available for use. And so therefore, What I'm recommending, and it would be a departure from the regulation, because the regulation doesn't distinguish between indoor and outdoor seating, is that you treat the outdoor seating at half the rate, half the fee that would be charged if in fact, instead of that full amount. This is gonna have the impact of reducing the traffic impact fee from $60,800 to $51,300.
So this outdoor seating, this isn't gonna be under roof or anything like that, that they could?
No, it
they
actually
could-
shows there, and again, the owners are here and they can discuss it if you want. But my discussion with them, the intention of the outdoor seating is that it is not sheltered and it is truly outdoor seating.
So it's not like the one at Mad Mex where they can close it in the
No.
winter time, right? Okay. I mean, I don't have a problem with Paul's
I don't either.
proposal. I'll make a motion that we grant a departure from regulation and reduce the traffic impact fee for the Coughlin's Law Restaurant from $60,800 to $51,300.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion from council or the audience? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You know, the other thing that, we got notice from Washington County that there are funds available to help with the demolition of the building. We've made application in the name of the township. There's no cost to the township for doing that, to assist with the demolition. The other thing is, they've been kind enough to talk with the, fire department and the police department. They would both like to be able to use that facility for training, indoors. And then there's also a possibility that the fire department, if it can get permission, from the property owner as well as the state, to actually, burn that structure as a training exercise, which would reduce the cost of demolition even further, so.
Should we move forward with amending that ordinance to take that 50% outdoor seating?
We can add that to the list of
Yeah, I was
changes that
thinking the
need to
same
be
thing.
done. Like I said, this is the first time I think we've seen a restaurant that has this extensive of outdoor seating. So,
Okay. Okay, the next item will be authorization for the appropriate township officials to execute a trust agreement with Delaware Valley Health Trust agreement.
So each year, the township goes out obtaining quotes for health insurance. Our current provider, UPMC, had an initial quotation which resulted in a 35% increase in premiums. After negotiating with them, that was eventually reduced to 15%, or an increase of approximately $170,000. This caused us to go out and look at other options. One of the options out there is to obtain health insurance through one of the municipal insurance pools. In western Pennsylvania, MBS is a large pool. Pennsylvania Municipal Health Insurance Cooperative is a pool out east, and then there's the Delaware Valley Trust. We think the Delaware Valley Trust best meets the township needs, both in terms of cost, coverage, and governance. What the plan they offer their participants is an Aetna plan, which means that unlike our UPMC plan now, employees will have an opportunity to go not only to UPMC, but Allegheny General. The coverage is exactly the same as the current coverage, and instead of a 15% increase, there would be a 4.25% decrease over our current premiums. You're locked in for 3 years. I have a commitment from them not to have an increase of more than 6.5% for next year. So certainly over a 2-year period, we're gonna be a whole lot further ahead than we would be if in fact we stayed with UPMC. And it's my recommendation that council authorize the appropriate township officials to execute a trust agreement with the Delaware Valley Trust.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries 5-0. Next up will be the award of a contract through Pennsylvania CoStar's program for the purchase of a dump truck body.
Yeah, we actually purchased the cabin chassis back, we actually ordered it back in March 25th of 2024. The truck is finally in. It's sitting at the upfitters right now, and we need to award a contract under the CoStar's program to the purchase of a dump body.
I'll make a
snowplow
motion that
spreader.
we award a contract under the Pennsylvania CoStar's program for the purchase of a dump body snowplow and spreader in the amount of $110,300.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second.
What are we doing with the current vehicle that we're replacing?
This one, I believe, will be sold.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on this?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0 on that one. Next will be award of a contract under CoStarz for the installation of roofs on the Community Recreation Center.
So, the 2025 budget includes an appropriation of $750,000 to replace the HVAC units at the Community Recreation Center, as well as the roof on which they are located. So you can see in this aerial picture of the rec center, there are 2 wells. There are 4 HVAC units there, and both the HVAC units and the rubber roofs are the originals to the building. So the intention is to replace the roof at the same time, the units, the
So this is
HVAC
not a
units.
roof over the entire building.
What's that?
This is not the
No.
roof over the
No,
entire
these,
building.
these are small roofs. This was a project we bid last year on our normal bidding process. It came in over $750,000, which caused us to go back. We were working with Combustion Services and Equipment Company. It's the group that maintains our equipment currently. Working with them and with Tower Engineering, we came up with a solution to replace those units with units of very similar size and type, and to be able to do it through the CoStarz program. Likewise, the roofing work would be done through the CoStarz program. So the total cost of the project would now be $489,500, which is substantially below the amount of money that's budgeted. And for that reason, it's my recommendation the council award a contract to Light Car Roofing under the CoStarz program, and that we award a contract to Combustion Services and Equipment under the CoStarz program to install the HVAC units.
Can they be awarded under one motion, or do we need to separate?
Sure.
Fine, I'll make a motion that we award a contract to Lycar Roofing under the Pennsylvania CoStarz program for the installation of roofs on the Peters Township Community Recreation Center in the amount of $74,500, and that we award a contract to Combustion Service and Equipment Company under the Pennsylvania CoStarz program for the installation of roofs on the Peters Township Community Recreation Center in the amount of $415,000.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion from council or the audience? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. That's the end of the new business, so we'll go into payroll and bills.
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the payroll and bills. I find them to be in order. I move they be approved as submitted.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to pay the bills. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Any correspondence that you want to discuss?
Well, the thing that I do want to take note of, at the last meeting, we had an individual here who has expressed concern about this development that's occurring in Bethel Park and its impact on the waterways in Peters Township. We contacted the Allegheny County Conservation District. They went out and examined the site, determined that it wasn't in compliance. They've shut the site down. It's now been covered with straw, and the developer is now required to come in with a new E&S plan before he can begin work again. So,
This combustion service and equipment company.
Is there anything that anybody would like to discuss under the board minutes?
Nope.
No. Miscellaneous? It's like the Sherwood Pond?
Can I ask Paul something? When we did that motion, when Frank made that dual motion, he said the first part, Lycal Roofing for the installation of those small roofs. But then he said to Combustion Service and Equipment for the installation of roofs.
I'm sorry, I was reading off there. Sorry for the installation of the HVAC.
HVAC.
It should be AC.
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
that that's what we voted on, because that's what I voted on.
okay,
Okay, I'm sorry.
yeah.
got
I
a
don't
little
think Combustion
confused there.
Services would feel comfortable installing a roof.
We're getting a big roof then. Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
No, I should have
Interrupted
caught
you.
that. Thanks, Frank.
It's a Sherwood Pond.
We have, in your docket, you had asked for a report about the history of the work on Sherwood Pond, and that report documents all the meetings that have occurred to date. The nature of the concern has to do with the pond itself. So we were approached by the HOA to take over maintenance of the pond. The township has had a policy of not to take over ponds that are wet ponds. Now, having said that, this pond, the water in it is only about 2 foot deep, and as a result of that, that fountain that looks so nice in this picture can't function. It pulls up dirt from the bottom, and in fact, there's not it is not in the pond right now. So the pond right now looks like this, which is not what anybody wants to see, because it's fed by rainwater and how dry it's been. There's not been sufficient flow in it. There's no agitation of the pond, and so you end up with these algae blooms and so when we had presented that to the HOA that our interests were not taking over a wet pond, they went back, and it took some time for them to get back to us, and they agreed that they would like the township to take it over and that the developer convert it to a dry pond. So his stormwater management plan right now does not call for that. There are some issues with regard to the nature of the installation he did that needs to be resolved with the conservation district. And so we met with the conservation district and the developer, and the only concern expressed by the developer is that from when this started until now, DEP's regulations have changed. And his question was, would he be required to convert this to a dry pond based upon the new regulations, or were the regulations in which were in existence at the time?
New regulations.
Well, actually, DEP's going to be willing, from what we get, our understanding is DEP is willing to let him proceed under the old regulations, which would mean that there's a real possibility that you could actually convert the pond. Either way, the developer has expense to be paid either to get this pond constructed as designed, or to convert it to a dry pond. If it is a dry pond, we're gonna be coming back to council recommending that in fact the township take it over, because our experience is that HOAs are not in the best position to maintain these type of facilities. But I would not recommend to the township right now that we take over that pond in its current condition, because it will be a problem for us. It'll be a safety problem. So that's where we are right now.
And how long does the developer still have to?
Oh, he's got like 2 years before his permit runs out. But that doesn't mean that everybody isn't gonna push him to do something, because it's in his interest to do something sooner than later as well. So that's kind of where we are.
Well, you know, I'm not gonna vote in favor of taking that over. That should not be our responsibility. That should be the homeowner's responsibility, the homeowners association responsibility. We're spending a lot of money maintaining these, and we shouldn't have to. And I understand that we're ultimately, the buck stops here.
Oh, yeah.
But they can collect money to pay for that. And if we had to do it, we can get the money off of them. This is ridiculous that we're spending $30,000 to clean these things out. I just don't think that's a good way, that's a good bang for our buck. I mean, we're incurring debt when we shouldn't be. So you know I'm gonna be a no vote, so
Yeah,
I'm just letting you know. Don't call me about it.
But it is the policy of the
How many of these
approved
do we
policies.
have, Paul?
Oh, good gosh, how many ponds are out there?
60 plus.
My question,
You come,
and I live in Sherwood Pond, is.
Yeah, we need you to come up.
You
to the
need to
mic.
come up.
I
And
just have a question.
Yep.
Was it installed properly? Did the developer do what he was supposed to do when he put it in?
We need your name and your address. There is a significant element that separates sediment that was not put in as designed. What the developer is saying is he believes it accomplishes the same result. It would be up to the conservation district to make a determination whether it's a reasonable substitute.
Mark, what was it supposed to be, like a 4-bay or something? for it?
Kind of like, there's a,
I'd like to make a
You
comment.
gotta come up to the mic,
I will.
give us your name and address.
Gary, you want me to answer your
Yeah,
question?
please.
There's like one of those contact pre-engineered hydrodynamic separators, the
Yeah, yeah.
manholes, that
Yep.
get put in line on the inflow pipe on this. The developer never put that in per plans. They put in what I'll call like a homemade separator. It's almost like just a sump inlet that's supposed to collect debris, so. It actually makes sense, because I think in their construction sequence, they shouldn't have put in the separator to last, but they never put it in. So that's one of the things that the Conservation District / DEP has pinged them for with a notice of violation.
Yeah.
That's the major outstanding thing at this point, that needs to be resolved. And as Paul said, they either have to put that in or convert it to a dry pond.
Yeah.
So either way, they're gonna have some expense there. So.
And at first blush from the Conservation District, they don't believe what's in there is a reasonable substitute, but they're gonna look at it if in fact the information submitted.
And for those of us who aren't engineers, if the developer had put that separator in, would that have made any difference now with the level of water? Now you'd still have the algae growing and all
I
that?
don't think so. I think the problem is you have a pond that has 2 feet of water during a historic drought.
It's
You know,
super warm.
As soon as as soon as the sun hits that pond, it's gotta be, that water's gotta be 110 degrees, so you're gonna have algae blooms. It just, hindsight being 2020, was not a good idea to put in a permanent pool with 2 feet of water in it. We have no prohibition against that in our ordinance, but
Well, maybe we ought to start looking at that so we don't have this issue again in the future. Because I can understand the residents who live there, driving in there, you
sure,
see
yeah.
that there, you're thinking, you see this at the entrance, this is gonna be beautiful, and this is what you end up stuck
oh,
with.
yeah.
Why
3 or 4
doesn't
years
he
later.
just use an algicide or dye the water so that the sun doesn't hit it, so then it won't bloom?
Well, you can, but this empties out into a stream, and we've already had complaints. There was an incident last summer where somebody put dye in the pond and it showed up downstream, and the DEP got complaints. So I think there's some hesitancy to do that or to overdo it, these aren't, the HOA is not, experts in pond maintenance, so rightfully so, I think I'd be a little hesitant too to start throwing chemicals in there. And, I think a fountain, the pond we have over at the Public Works,
Yeah.
we have a fountain in that, but it's 8 feet deep. So
Yeah.
it, and there's a good base flow into the pond. There's not adequate base flow into this pond. The watershed's real small, that drains to it. So.
Okay. Is it?
My name is Rich Always, and I'm a civil engineer. And my whole background, the majority of my background was dam safety. I served the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And after reviewing the plans, and I sent Mr. Lewis and also Mr. Lauer very detailed letters concerning the construction of the retention pond. And there are many unauthorized modifications, there are many deficiencies with the construction of the retention pond. And the HOA should not be held responsible for accepting responsibility. They should not be responsible for the developer not constructing this according to the plans. These plans were reviewed multiple times by Peters Township, the Water Conservation District, and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Okay, this thing went through multiple iterations of reviews, comments, changes. And the pond, or the stormwater facility, was not constructed in accordance to the plans. This isn't an opinion, this is fact. All you have to do is pick up the plans, go out and look, and you'll see for yourself. And here's some examples. There's a manhole, it's supposed to have 4 inlets. It only has 2. There was supposed to be a 36-inch bypass installed. And when the surveyors came out, they were asking me, because I was out there, and they said, where is it? Where does this thing start? It's supposed to be in this manhole. We have a manhole, wasn't built right. It's the wrong size, supposed to be 6-foot diameter, it's only 4. It's supposed to have 4 storm sewer pipes in it, and it only has 2. So there's trash racks that weren't fabricated properly, they weren't installed properly. And this may not mean anything to people here, but the discharge rating curves for these storm inlet structures is not going to perform the way it should. That structure is not going to perform the way it's supposed to be performed, the way it was designed, because there are so many modifications that were made that were supposed to, under your ordinance, were supposed to be submitted for review and approval, and it just wasn't done. You have, they call them out barrels. You have, I call them conduit, they call them outfall barrels that connect to the storm water, the control structures. They leak. I know they leak because I went out there when it was raining and I inspected it. I mean, that's what I used to do for a living with the Army Corps of Engineers. And they leak. All of them leak. You can go out there when it's raining and you know that it's flowing, the water's flowing, okay? It's going through the stormwater system. And for a while, there is no water coming out of the outlet structure. Nothing, there's no water. It's going, they're all leaking and it's getting into the bedding material for the pipes. I could keep going on and on. And I think I sent Mr. Lewis
Yes, sir.
a very detailed, backing it up with ordinance, drawings, best practices, code, and it's being violated. So for people to say, hey, the HOA, they should be paying for all this, they should take responsibility for all this, the answer is no. I'll give you a perfect example. If everybody here went to a car dealership and you ordered a car, you picked the model, you picked the engine, you picked the transmission, you pick it all, and then you get a phone call 3 months later and the dealership says, hey, come on down, pick up your car. And you go, and it's the wrong model, wrong engine. You say, hey, where's my rear view mirror? Where's the side mirrors? They're not installed. But don't worry. Turn your head around and you can see. You can see the cars on your own. Then you look under the car. Transmission's leaking. The oil's leaking out of the car. You open up the hood. The radiator's leaking. How many people in this room would drive it off the lot and accept responsibility for it? Anybody? You wouldn't. So don't expect the HOA to be responsible for a structure that wasn't built correctly. And it will, I guarantee you, it will not operate correctly. It will not. Even the control structures are built to the wrong elevation. And I heard a comment, what's a half a foot? Well, when you only have 1.5 feet of freeboard and you have a 100-year storm, I can't guarantee you people that it's not going to overtop until the engineers run the calcs again. And that's the way it is. And, you know, I asked to meet with Mr. Lewis, and I don't know if he ever wants to meet with me or not, but I'll gladly take anybody there. We'll have someone pop the manhole covers off, and you can see for yourself that it wasn't built right. I even told the Washington County Conservation District engineer, I said, if you want to know how a hydraulic structure is performing, you go out when it's raining. Don't go out on a sunny day. You go out when it's raining, and then you'll know. So you have pipes, joints that are leaking, and I'm not making this up. you pipe joints that are leaking, you have outfall barrels that are leaking, that are connected to the control structure themselves. There's a valve that's supposed to be exercised every 6 months, for example. It can't be exercised. And why? Because the valve stem and the handle was never installed. And the trash rack, not only wasn't even fabricated right, and it's necking down the flow, there's supposed to be an access hatch so that you can turn the valve and exercise it. That wasn't even built. There is so many issues with this structure. Many issues. The outfall barrel, I mean, you're gonna have, potentially, you could have internal erosion in the embankment going into the outfall barrel at the joint, at the control structure. And it's gonna stope, potentially, and you can have a localized earth embankment failure. I'm not making this up. I mean, I can talk to Mr. Lewis, and you can look it up in best practices of the Army Corps of Engineers and read it yourself. There are so many issues with this structure. And I documented it to Mr. Lauer, I documented it to Mr. Zemetis, and I documented it to Mr. Lewis.
And Mark, I presume that whenever the developer either converts this to a dry pond or fixes it, he's gonna have to address all these issues, correct?
Yeah, any issue that the DEP feels is relevant, they'll have to address.
No, everyone has been talking about the hydrodynamic separator. That structure is 10-foot diameter, 20 feet deep, or 20 feet. It's a huge structure. And the purpose is to remove hydrocarbons and also to remove debris, leaves, silt, sand, aggregate, gravel. That's what the purpose is, to remove it all. And again, this was reviewed by the Township, the Washington County Conservation District, and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection on multiple occasions, and then finally approved. And the approval was, Mr. Developer, if you want to develop Sherwood Pond, then you have to build the stormwater facility in accordance to the plans. No ifs, no ands, no buts, no deviations. If you're gonna make any modification, you have to submit it to us for review, comment, and approval. That's your ordinance. And it was never done. We had a meeting, I asked the Peters Township personnel, and I asked WCCD personnel who were there, how many modifications that were made were approved? And the answer was none. So there's at least 9 modifications that were done. There were even supposed to be a shop drawing submitted of the end wall. It's supposed to have reinforcement in it. It doesn't have any reinforcement in it. And if no one believes me, just go to right here. It's supposed to be reinforcement in here. Rebar, deformed bar. It's been damaged. There isn't any. They never even submitted the shop drawing for it. And if somebody submitted a shop drawing, then someone didn't do their job, because they should never have approved it. The end wall was the wrong dimensions, and it doesn't have any reinforcement in it. And there's the proof right there. You don't have to believe me, you just have to look. And there are so many deficiencies that we cannot, the residents should not be responsible for accepting responsibility for this. Because we didn't design it, we didn't build it, and we didn't oversee the construction. There is trust by the residents that the government officials in the municipality are going to do their job. And it wasn't done. And I don't say that lightly. It just wasn't done. So we can't be held responsible for something that is a total failure by the developer. They made all these changes and they shouldn't have been allowed.
Paul, do we have any bonds that we're holding?
It's not a public improvement because it's to be turned over to the HOA.
Okay.
No, in the
But,
plan.
but if
still
I
under
can,
developer's
yeah,
purview.
but if I can, this separator that we're talking about, if in fact it's converted to a dry pond, that will not have to be installed. What we're getting from the HOA is they don't want responsibility for maintaining the pond. They want the township to do that. And the leverage that the township has is there's gonna be a tremendous expense putting that in.
As a wet pond.
As a wet pond. If he doesn't have to put that in, that time, energy, and expense can be placed in converting this to a dry pond. And there will have to be design modifications for this to be a dry pond that will have to be reviewed here as well as the county conservation district. But
Why do we allow developers to do this stuff to us
But,
and to our
but see, like
residents?
the installation of this separator, which is the largest problem out there, doesn't have to be installed right now. This permit runs for another 2 years. So,
But it has, but then has it been turned over to the HOA or it hasn't?
no,
Still the developers.
yep, yep. So it still belongs to the developer.
I want to throw one more thing out, so I'm perfectly clear. There is a 24-inch storm sewer pipe that comes from a manhole where a majority of the water, probably 90% of the water from the complex comes into this one manhole, and there's a 24-inch line coming out. And that 24-inch line is probably connected to the 36-inch line. It doesn't connect to a manhole, which is best practices. When you change direction and you change the size of pipe, you're supposed to have a manhole. Right? There isn't one. I think, I can't prove it, the only way to do it is, send up a video, but they connected it directly, and it's not in a manhole. There aren't any more manholes up there. So, that 36-inch line was supposed to really be like an emergency bypass. So, the majority of the water is not gonna go through that drop inlet that they're talking about. It's going directly into the retention pond, or the basin. It's bypassing everything, and it's not supposed to. So that's a major modification in the design and construction.
And that's why the conservation district has asked the developer to provide as-built drawings for all the piping.
And Paul, who was the engineer that we retained to do monitoring during this development? Do we know that?
You know, Gateway monitored this like they'll do any other development, which is part-time spot inspections. We don't pay for anybody to sit out there and monitor full-time. Now, I will say this, you know, the Conservation District, and in your docket, you know, they have 31 times they were out there to inspect the site. So
That's impressive.
to say it was not inspected is not accurate. And hopefully, maybe I can put this conversation to an end. I doubt it. But, you know, with all due respect to Mr. Always, there are issues with the pond. I don't think many of them are showstoppers. I think the two showstoppers are the separator not being in and the lack of an as-built drawing. And the DEP has noted that, and sent the developer what they call an NOV, a notice of violation. So they're on the clock to respond to that and fix these problems. Like we said, there's 2 more years on their permit. It's not up until June 2027. So I know the HOA wants like instantaneous answers, but there's no way that we can compel the developer to act now. I mean, the chronology I put in the docket should prove that we've been at this for 18 months now, meeting with the developer, meeting with the HOA. It will get resolved, just not today.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Oh, I'm sure.
Good evening. I'm the president of the HOA. My name is Edward Teeple. If people have questions about what is wrong, we have a PowerPoint that we showed last December that had a sort of broken down non-engineer part to it that was by me, and the other part was by Richard with all the technical things. So I think if you want to review that, I think that would be good. I'd like to speak to some issues that you're not talking about. This is a water facility storm runoff basin for the town. And supposedly, it's for Sherwood Pond. But if you go to the east side, the house is up on the hill, that water's directed in a storm down to Tagalong, which goes into the sewers, not from Sherwood Pond. When the playground is up on top of the hill, where they play soccer, the one behind Pleasant Valley Grammar School, there you have open lines for water drainage off there, but they're set up so that if there's an overflow, it comes down to Tagalong and goes into our system. Yes, that's so. If you go to the west side, yes, there are houses from the top part of Sheriff's Court that drain to Route 19. But there are houses on the downside towards us that drain into the Sherwood Pond Basin. So when you say that it's our responsibility only, you're holding us accountable for things that are serving the town and other parts of the community. So I think that's one big significant thing. The second thing is that there are existing problems with this that the permittee is not addressing. On the pond here, over here on this side, and this is below where that storm hydrodynamic separator should be back here. Over here, as it runs towards the dam over here, there's a large area here, about 20 feet by about 8 feet, that you know how if you try to walk on a mat in a pool, it would go like this under your feet. If you walk on that ground, it's balloting under your feet. So there's a pipe leak, and what Rich was talking about, where there should be a manhole when 2 pipes are in different sizes, actually, that's exactly where it is. So you have an existing, what we suspect is a leak, which we've told Mark about. We had a discussion when they came out to see, that's not being addressed. During the 2 storms that occurred in June, you were talking about the 100-year storm. On that first chimney that you have, that's the outlet with the cage, the algae went up to the top third of that cage. Now, if we were going to try and turn that valve to open it up, you would have to go through the water that pushed that algae up there, because it didn't fly up there. It flew up there by water pressure. And that's with only 2 storms in June this year. And when the pump that was there before that was supposedly managing the algae, when it got dry and it burned itself out, the HOA was not going to pick up the cost of that, which is $7,000, because we anticipated that we could switch it over to the town once it became a dry pond, and it would be a waste of money. But it also means that the permittee has not been maintaining his area that's permitted. Why not? I did treat this algae all summer. I did start with a low dose. I did go to Route 19 to Mr. Pond and started out. So every week, I went every week to 2 weeks. I dumped more stuff into it, a little bit higher dose to avoid a fish kill. So we've tried to play the correct game with you to keep it under control. I also have a Master of Public Health. I'm a physician. I have been doing about every 6 weeks rings of mosquito larvicide control tablets. They're the ones that you float. I've been doing that the whole summer, and we haven't had the mosquito problem. But it is really, if you say that your water management is doing its job, you had a pond that had gigantic filaments of algae like this. So I think, we're appealing to you to keep our area safe. And we've just told you 2 things. How would we get down to the valve when the water's going down that chute where the valve is controlled? So I think it's been designed so poorly and so unsafe. Rich said that OSHA things means that the pipe where you would climb down to change the valve has to be a certain diameter so that the person can come down and get removed. We would have to be hiring somebody with a cage to drop somebody down there and pull them out. So these are things that an HOA should not be expected to maintain. So I think it's unrealistic for that. And in fact, Paul just told me the story recently that for the past 8 years you changed your regulations, so you had to have in your design a dry pond if the town was going to control it. So we're asking you to treat us the same way, please.
We have not changed our regulations
Well, I'm
that you
just saying.
cannot have wet ponds.
It didn't exist.
You can have wet ponds. The township's preference is always to have dry ponds
Right.
because of the things here. But that pond, in terms of it being wet, is not a violation of any ordinance.
That, I understand, Paul, exactly. It's just that if you have a present day rule or suggestion that it should be dry, we would like to consider that for us as well. So I just tried to make some points that I think are separate from the technical issues. But I think there's a problem there. Next big storm, that cavitation that's occurring around that could blow the top off that. And then the water runs down right into the house where you're trying to keep their basement dry. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I imagine you guys are gonna keep us up to.
We'll keep council up to date. We'll keep the
What's going on.
HOA up to date
All
as
right.
well.
Any other miscellaneous items?
Paul, I had a question. I saw now that we put up those cameras in Peterswoods Park in different locations.
Right.
Who has access to the video footage from those cameras?
The Peters Township Police Department.
And nobody else?
No,
Nobody from Parks and Rec have it?
no.
Okay, I was just
Are
curious.
there license plate readers in the park as well?
I'll be honest with you, I don't believe so, but I can check on that. The license plate readers are generally at intersections, also.
That's what I thought. Yeah, if
The
you could let
police
us know.
cars also have license plate readers within them, so.
Okay. Next agenda? Have an executive session?
Yes.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned.